Hello everyone. Pharmacovigilance. Most of you heard this term, but you must be wondering what is it? Today I am going to give you an overview about pharmacovigilance. This is known as one of the crucial and critical domain in clinical research industry. People who completed graduation in bioscience or life science and also completed their education in B Pharma, M Pharma or Pharm D and looking for a career to start, please watch this video. After watching this video, you will have the overall understanding of the pharmacovigilance process and you can apply in different multinational corporate sectors to start your career in this domain. So let's start with our today's discussion. Introduction to pharmacovigilance. What is pharmacovigilance? In layman's language, this is an overall process to observe and monitor if any adverse event is caused by the drug or any medical devices in the clinical research or clinical trials. According to the World Health Organization, pharmacovigilance, also known as drug safety, is the pharmacological science related to the collection, detection, assessment, monitoring and prevention of adverse effects of the pharmaceutical drugs. Science and activities relating to the detection, assessment, understanding and prevention of adverse effects or any other medicinal related problems is known as the pharmacovigilance. We will move on to the next topic. Why do we need pharmacovigilance? The most important parameters I have pointed out in these slides, where you can see that the main reason for the pharmacovigilance is to improve patient care about the drugs and keep the patient safe from adverse effects of drug. Pharmacovigilance keep track of any drastic effect of the drug, to research the efficacy or the effectiveness of the drug and check effects of drug during trials to the pharmacy and then keep monitoring their effects for many years. Bring improvement in public healthcare system by a thorough assessment of drugs' effect on the body. To know the mechanisms of the drug inside the human body, and the last but not the least, to encourage safe and rational use of medicines. Objectives of pharmacovigilance: to properly detect the unknown adverse effects and drug interaction, distribution of information about the adverse effect of drug and drug interactions so that they occur less frequently, timely correction of therapeutic errors, re-evaluation of the risk-benefit balance of medicine so we can effectively use those drugs for patient having more benefits and fewer side effects, identifications of mechanisms that cause adverse effects of drugs. Now in our next slide, we need to understand what is adverse event, because this adverse event is closely related to the pharmacovigilance process, so it is very much important for you all to understand the definition of the adverse event. Any untoward medical occurrence in a patient or clinical trial subject administered a medicinal product and which does not necessarily have a causal relationship with this treatment. An adverse event can therefore be any unfavorable and unintended sign, in example, an abnormal laboratory finding, symptom or disease temporarily associated with the use of the medicinal product, whether or not considered related to the medicinal product. So it is not always important that any adverse event can be caused by the drug which is we are taking in the clinical trial. It can be associated with any drug, which is also considered as a core medication during the trial. Suppose I am a diabetic patient and I have participated in the trial of the fever. So I have to take the diabetic medicines during the trial, and if during my trial I come across any adverse events, and during the observation of my reports it is found that the adverse effect is caused by the diabetes, so we can come to a conclusion where the adverse event is not caused by the drug which is for the fever, but it is caused by the diabetic medicine. So here I have presented an example of the adverse event definition. Moving to the next slide. Adverse event versus adverse drug reaction. So it is mostly asked by various interviewers during the technical round that what do you understand or what do you know and what is the main difference between adverse event and the adverse drug reaction. So we can say that if the adverse event is considered related to the medicinal product, it is called an adverse reaction. Serious adverse event. So guys who are watching this video, it is very much important to understand what is SAE or serious adverse event. And in various interview, even when I faced the technical interview, I was asked the 5 crucial criteria for the serious adverse event. So do remember the 5 criteria for serious adverse event, which I will discuss in this slide. A serious adverse event or experience or reaction is any untoward medical occurrence that at any dose this serious adverse event can cause the important 5 parameters are result in death. An adverse event can be serious when it is considered that the event caused death of the patient. It is life-threatening. Life-threatening in the definition of serious refers to an event in which the patient was at risk of death at the time of the event. It does not refer to an event which hypothetically might have caused death if it was more severe. The next point is requires inpatient hospitalization or prolonged hospitalization. So suppose if the patient is hospitalized for a longer period of time, it is also considered as a serious adverse event. Moving to the next part, results in persistent or significant disability. Suppose if the patient has taken the drug and due to the drug patient lost the ability to walk or talk, so this is considered as a serious adverse event and medically significant event. Any suspected transmission via a medicinal product of an infectious agent is also considered a serious adverse reaction. Moving to the next part, adverse event versus serious adverse event. If the adverse event is considered serious according to the defined criteria, which are death, hospitalization, physical disability or life-threatening criteria, it is considered as a serious adverse event. In layman's language, any adverse event meets the criteria of death, hospitalization, etc. is considered as a serious adverse event or SAE. Moving to the next slide, Suzar or suspected unexpected serious adverse reaction. So guys, it is one of the most important terminology you should remember while you are working or you are planning to start your career in pharmacovigilance domain. Understanding the Suzar concept, start from the last word and move backward. So in the definition or in the header you can see suspected unexpected serious adverse reaction. So let's first understand what is serious adverse reaction. So the event is suspected to be related. So related denotes that it is related to the drug and it was suspected by the investigator or by the PI. So it is called as a suspected adverse reaction and the event is serious. So it can be considered as a serious adverse reaction, and the event is unexpected. The event is unexpected, that means in our principal investigators or the doctors, physicians have suspected that due to this drug adverse event may or adverse reaction may occur, and also it can be a serious adverse reaction, but it has occurred in unexpected condition. So with this definition we can conclusion that this adverse reaction was suspected by the principal investigators or physicians is unexpected. So it can be said that Suzar is suspected unexpected serious adverse reaction. Moving to the next slide, what must be reported? Minimum elements to make a case valid from investigator. So guys, before starting the pharmacovigilance process, we need to understand that any adverse event which is recorded in the pharmacovigilance database is known as a case. In this case, a particular information about the subjects or patients are recorded or documented. So what must be reported? An identifiable patient, in example patient number, a product or a study number, and randomization code for blinded studies, an event, and a reporter to be able to ask for more information. Steps of pharmacovigilance. So people who are planning to start their career in pharmacovigilance, please do remember these steps. What are the steps? Detection, assessment, understanding, and prevention. So first we will discuss about detection. Collection of individual case safety reports or ICSRs. These ICSRs are also known as the cases in pharmacovigilance. PV start with safety information, or pharmacovigilance starts with safety information that comes from different resources such as solicited reports from, for example, established channel to collect the adverse event, which can be clinical trials, registries, and unsolicited report, where these reports are received without request. For example, patients, HCP, or regulatory authorities. Coming to the next step, assessment. After the collection of adverse event, the assessment of ICSRs are conducted. The steps involved in this process are triage. Triage refers to the process of placing a potential adverse event report into one of three categories: non-serious case, serious case, or no case. After triage, data entry takes place. In data entry, what is the function of data entry? That is, after case validation, the safety associate enters the safety information in safety database. So please remember, you may be asked by the interviewer that can you please give me some examples of safety databases. So some of the safety databases which are popularly known as Argus or Oracle Argus, Aris G or Aris Global, and Sapphire. Data entry also covers seriousness determination, coding of adverse event using MEDRA, causality assessment, labeling assessment, and narrative writing. After that, quality process. It involves the raising of queries to the reporter if any additional information is required, and also to clarify any discrepancy in safety data. Medical review. Safety physicians review the safety data, which is the emphasis on causality, seriousness, labeling, and provide the company pharmacovigilance comments. Case closure. The completed adverse ADR report or adverse drug reaction report submitted to the respective regulatory agency or regulatory affairs. Moving to the next step, understanding. Aggregate data review is performed in this process to understand the drug safety using following documents: periodic benefit risk evaluation report, specific adverse reaction follow-up questionnaires are used to get structured information on adverse events, signal analysis, risk management, development safety update report. Now the next step, prevention. By performing risk minimization activities, for example, to update the summary of the product characteristics, labeling and packaging of the medicines, monitoring risk minimization activities. So these activities are performed during the process of prevention. Now we will understand what are the various or different role of case processor who are involved in the pharmacovigilance process. So I have prepared a diagram or flow chart by which you will be able to understand what are the role of the case processor or drug safety associate, we can say, in pharmacovigilance process. The first step is the case is received. After that, data verification and validity check is performed. Case booking and registration is performed. After that, data entry takes place in the safety database. After that, coding and adverse events and drugs are identified, or these activities are performed. Causality assessment. After that, expectedness assessment, case narrative, self quality check is performed, and the last part is timely completion of the data entry by the case processor. So that was all from my end about the pharmacovigilance process. Thank you so much for watching the video, and if you find these videos are useful to you, please do like and subscribe my channel. And I have an important announcement that from the next videos or next topics I will cover some of the topics in Hindi. So do watch my video and like and do subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.